Hello, friends, and welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. My name is Scott Cowan, and I'm the host of the show. Each episode, I have a conversation with an interesting guest who is living in or from Washington State. These are casual conversations with real and interesting people. I think you're going to like the show. So let's jump right in with today's guest. Well, we're jumping in today. I am sitting down with Sean Visentainer. We've had some technical challenges. I've had some pronunciation challenges. Sean, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Scott.
All right. So we're talking a subject that I'm an expert on called fly fishing. I know nothing about fly fishing, but I got to set the stage. Okay. Sean is here because of his mother. I mean, we just have to put that out there. His mom.
Thanks, Mom. What'd you get me into, Mom?
Yeah, exactly. Sean's mom responded to one of our newsletters. We struck up a conversation. We were talking about her dog and my dog Bosley. And then she mentioned her son, and she said, just kind of in passing, oh, he has a fly fishing shop. And I said, oh, wait, tell me more. And then all of a sudden I get this like link and proud mama moment. And she's, obviously proud of you and your brother. And so I reached out, you agreed to do this. And so
yeah,
in advance, I'm sorry. Okay.
Well,
but
hopefully it's not too painful, but I think it'll be just fine.
It should be just fine. What little I know of your background, though, there was an article in the Spokane Review. In like around 9, you started fishing.
Yeah, probably about that age. Yeah.
Who got you into fishing?
I had some weird inner desire to fish.
Really?
I don't know. Something spoke to me about fishing, and so I started gathering all information tidbits I could back then. As it's pre-internet days, so it's books, magazines, TV shows, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So my dad would take me out.
It was your dad? Okay, I was going to say a family member had to probably.
Yeah, I couldn't get to the local lakes or anything, but my dad would take me out. My mom would take me out. So yeah, I'd con one of them to take me fishing.
Okay. All right. And then a few years later, like you were like preteen, right around teenage years, got into fly fishing. What drew you into fly fishing?
That I had read about it in a book. So it was like some fishing encyclopedia type of book from back then. And I read about it in a book and was really intrigued with it. And I had a relative, like a cousin of my mom's, that fly fished, and he was going to teach me. He was in the Air Force, so he was gone a lot. But my mom had got me a lesson for my birthday. A gentleman at a fly shop that was around at that time came out for my 12th birthday or so. Gave me a fly casting lesson in our backyard. It was super cool. Old timer. And just took it from there and spending my allowance at the shop and lawn mowing money and whatever I could scrape up. So,
all right. So you got, and I think my camera's frozen. So I'm actually moving, even though you get folks, if you can see this really stupid look I have on my face right now permanently for Sean to have to look at, I apologize. But all right.
Yeah, that's what I noticed.
Yeah, it's kind of okay. Anyway, I am actually still here. You grew up in Spokane, in the area?
Yeah. Yep. Grew up in Spokane, born and raised, stuck here. No, actually I love Spokane. So, I've had to have the business in Spokane for, it's been 20-year anniversary. So yeah, it's been a long time now.
Well, but there's more to that story than this. So you started working at the shop. How old were you when you started working there?
Well, see, it would have been, it was 2002. So I was probably 19, 20. It was right in there. I was 19, 20 years old. I'll give you the short version. It's a little bit of a sad story. A little bit is a sad story. Unfortunately, I had a friend pass away from high school on a fishing boat accident, and I was supposed to be on that trip. I wasn't, but his grandfather, and 2 cousins passed away in that fishing boat accident off the coast of Washington, and it was that connection that I got to meet the previous owner of the shop. And he there was a family connection between that family with my friend that passed away and the previous owner that I bought the shop from. That family connection brought me into the fly shop to start working there. So this was in 2002, and so I started working the shop and got to know the ropes and doing a little of everything, and eventually most everything in the shop within a couple of years. And it was 2005. The previous gentleman, Wayne, he had a different business, so this was kind of a side business for him. He needed to sell the shop, and I didn't have any money, so he gave me an opportunity to buy the shop. Making some payments and whatnot with a reasonable interest. So so he gave me an opportunity to buy the shop and let me continue to do what I was doing with the shop on my own terms. And that's when I had to move it though from its previous location. So this is 2005. So yeah, I'm still pretty young.
Yeah, you
43 now, so you guys can do the math.
Right.
So I moved it and started chipping away as a business owner at a young age with no real experience. So here I am. I haven't screwed it up too bad yet. We're still kicking.
Still kicking. I want to ask you though. So let's go back. So you were 19, 20 years of age when you were in growing up. Did you ever think you were going to be a business owner? What did you want to do growing up?
You really don't know truly what you want to do. I think for most of us don't know what we want to do. So I thought I would like to own a fly shop or the fly shop that I was at, but I didn't know that would ever happen. So I didn't really truly know that this would be an opportunity. So I wasn't quite sure exactly what I wanted to do in my rest of my career.
Okay. So the owner made you an offer you couldn't refuse. I mean, basically he set you up with terms that were obviously manageable for you to keep the business going and grow. I mean, okay.
Yeah, he understood business. He's a very successful businessman in town, and great human, great person, good friend. Still is to today. I actually still talk to his boys all the time. So,
okay.
But yeah, he set it up so it would have to work. It wasn't a gimme, but it was set up so I could make payments and continue to keep it thriving. So
here we are 20 years later, and you're still here. We're still talking about fly fishing. So obviously you've done some things right.
Yeah, I've done a few things right, and really, just getting the right guys in place at the shop. I got a great crew. My brother, being the main guy that keeps the machine really moving. I'm kind of have the overall vision, and then Mike manages the store. He doesn't just manage the store; he manages inventory, manages accounting, helps me with a lot of graphics and stuff like that. Everything IT, anything technical, Mike does. So I just kind of defer to his knowledge on that stuff. So and then I got Bo and Kenyon are phenomenal at the shop. So Bo manages our guide staff and is one of the main guys you'll see on the shop floor, and Kenyon guides and is also in the shop, and they're both phenomenal. And we have guides as well. So yeah.
Well, I'm on Silverbow's website, and there was one thing that caught my eye, and so this might be a question for your brother, but you're here. It says over 50,000 items in stock. Yeah,
that's a lot. Yeah, that would include flies. Flies is a huge category. So
okay.
We stock. Oh, go ahead.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
What's the single most popular item you guys have?
Well, it'd be flies. Yeah.
Okay.
Flies is a consumable. It's you're using them. They may last a fish. They may last 10 fish or more. But yeah, you're going through flies.
Okay.
That's your That's the deal. So can't fish without them, and can't fly fish without them.
Can't fly fish without them. Okay.
Yeah.
Since I know
Yeah,
nothing about fly fishing, this may seem like a really silly question to you, but you just said it could last for one fish or maybe 10, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's the typical range in cost for a fly?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's kind of weird. It hasn't really changed drastically over the years, but a basic fly that doesn't have too many materials or steps involved in it, $2.25.
Okay.
All
right.
So and then it goes up. An expensive trout fly would be like $4 or $5, and there's some that will go up to $8.
These are pretty small.
Ones.
These are small ticket items then. I mean, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it'd be like selling coffees and burgers and stuff like that. You got to sell a lot of them to make some money.
Right. Now, do you sell supplies for people to tie their own flies?
Yeah, that's another big part of the shop. So we have all the gear, but we also have the materials and supplies to make flies. So it's kind of a whole nother niche within fly fishing is tying flies, and it's kind of cool because you can take you can create your own flies, you can mimic flies, you can alter existing patterns to your liking or fisheries. It's really kind of a neat aspect. It is a difficult thing to stock because just like the variety of flies we have, there is a ton of materials and it's constantly evolving and trends and things like that. And that's where, thank God I got Mike, because I can't do that detailed stuff anymore. My brain, don't ask me fly tie where the fly tie material is in the shop anymore. I just defer to the guys.
Now, once again, I know these are very general questions, but like, what's the? Oh, that's right. These flies have to be quite light, correct? I mean, what's a fly? Yep. Like, what's a typical weight for a fly?
Well, I mean, almost nothing because it's furs, feathers, and synthetic materials. Some do have weight. So you have dry flies that sit on the surface, and then you have subsurface flies that can be referred to as like nymphs or streamers.
Okay.
So like a dry fly, being that it floats, is going to be made of lightweight materials, foams, deer hair, elk hair, materials that help support it. So it's not the lure, or I shouldn't say lure, it's not the fly that, carries the line out. It's actually the fly line that loads the rod and carries the fly to where you want it to go, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of the opposite of spin fishing is a weighted lure, or weight on your line, and then you tilt the rod back and fire it away out in front of you, and that weight carries the line out.
Got it. All right. So when you see movies or TV shows or whatever of guys tying, and typically it's guys tying flies, it looks, they've got the magnifying glasses, on, and it looks like it's quite intricate. Mm-hmm. Detailed work.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I'm looking at this from a retail standpoint. If retail on the high end item is $8, I mean, you got to be able to tie a fly pretty quickly, right?
If you were into production tying, for selling, that'd be so. We do some custom flies. We have a gentleman who's been tying flies for 60 years commercially, believe it or not. No, 50, almost 60 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Bob, he's phenomenal. When Bob quits tying, sorry folks, no more custom. But there's fly companies that manufacture flies, that have facilities set up for producing flies. So we can order flies, by the dozens, hundreds of dozens, thousands.
Lots of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah. You wouldn't want to make a living tying flies, though.
No. Yeah. Okay. So what else besides flies? What else in the store? If I were a typical fly fisherman and I'm walking into your store for the first time, and maybe I'm coming over from the Wenatchee area, right? So I'm coming over to go fly fish on the Spokane. I'm going to stop in your store.
Yep.
What am I probably looking at? I mean, what is somebody who knows what they're doing? What am I coming in to see that you have?
Well, the flies, of course. What's the local flies, and really even before that, it's you're coming in for the local knowledge.
Right.
Um, the whole crew fishes. I fished last night actually on the Spokane, and the whole crew fishes all year round, and you're coming in to see what we are up to speed on for the local fisheries. So, and then from there, then it's more than likely you're probably checking out flies, and each fly shop kind of has different types of equipment and their different brands, and maybe some different styles of it. So it's kind of fun. I go into different shops when I'm traveling around. It's kind of fun to see what everyone else has. Even though we carry most every brand, everyone's still unique. Each fly shop's unique.
So with 50,000 items, even though flies are small and, elk hair is not going to take up a lot of space, and things like that, you've got to have I'm guessing a fairly large warehouse space, if you will.
No, we cram it all into about a 1,700 square foot building. So,
no way.
It's packed. Yeah. When you're coming through,
1,700 square feet, and you've got 50,000 items available.
Well, a lot of that number is flies and fly time materials.
But still, man, that's
Oh yeah. It's packed. I mean, that's usually one of the comments we get. People walk in and they're like, "Wow, you guys got a lot of inventory." So we've utilized most spaces in the shop.
Okay.
So there's not too many blank walls. Let's put it that way.
All right. Well, I'm on your site and I'm looking at the Lamson Purist 2 Real Whiskey. Okay.
Yep,
why whiskey?
It's the color. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, newer model reel.
Okay. And what makes, honestly, it looks like a bike derailleur, to me. Not knowing what I'm looking at, I'm looking at it going, huh.
Yeah.
So what makes this, well, okay, so I'm reading this and it's composed of only 15 individual parts. So there's not a lot of, it's not very complex.
No, it's not complex. I'm guessing you're asking why is it the price that it is?
Well, no, I've learned that, look, when it comes to hobbies and, people pay what I might think is unreasonable, but you might think my hobby, you like, no, I collect old baseball cards. You're going to pay, X dollars for a piece of cardboard. No, man, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just looking at this going, okay, what makes this, why is this one so cool?
Yeah. Okay. Machine work, the strength to weight, made in the USA, how smooth they are. I guess like you mentioned, a derailleur, on a bike. It's kind of like buying high-end components for bikes,
Right. Yeah.
Not all the time, but typically the premium equipment is going to work flawlessly most of the time.
for longer periods of time too.
Yeah, longer periods of time. It's very durable. Just overall, the weight, super light. It's that stuff is typically built to last for a very long time.
And I'm looking at other stuff, and then you got an Orvis superfine graphite rod for $598, and I'm familiar with Orvis and all that. But okay, so here's a question: I'm going to come into your shop. I'm going to tell you, hey, I want to get started in fly fishing, and I have a budget.
Yep.
And you go, all right, what's your budget? Well, so what if you were going to set some? Let's rephrase this. Let's say it's a grandfather and his grandson coming in. Wants to set the grandkid up. We don't know that the kid's, he's 12 years old. We don't know that he's going to end up owning a shop like you. We don't know that he's going to be interested in it. But what would it take to set the grandkid up with a, decent set?
Reasonable.
Yeah, something reasonable.
Yeah. We sell, there's kits, and a lot of people, it's a kit, it's probably not that good. Well, actually the kits, are sold by some of these manufacturers are actually really good. So um, uh, one in particular, for like that situation, a brand called Echo. It's a fly shop only brand. You're not going to see it in box stores. It's a great product. They make rods and reels of I'd call them entry level pricing up to moderate pricing. They're not a premium brand,
Okay.
but you could get a really nice rod reel set with line and then a leader at the end piece that ties your fly for a couple $100 out the door.
So for less money
Which
than a Nintendo Switch.
exactly, yeah, and they just created a lifetime hobby outdoors. So hopefully,
Right, right.
yeah,
Okay, so a couple $100 to get started.
yeah, and
Now,
yes, you could go to a box store and probably find some. You can find some sub $200 kits, but we like to sell stuff that we know you're going to be happy with and
mhm,
it's not going to fail you.
right.
So,
Now the flip side is I'm some, SaaS company billionaire who just made more money than I know what to do with, and I'm walking into your store,
mm-hmm,
and money is no object, and
mm-hmm,
I want the same starter kit, not the same kit but the same components as in
yeah.
that Echo kit. How crazy could we go?
Oh, well, I mean, to spend 2,000 on a rod reel line, that's no problem. We can do that pretty quick.
You can do that pretty quick. All right.
Yeah, I mean, a premium fly rods right now are, they're 900 something dollars up to 1,200 dollars for a premium fly rod right now.
And how long would
Um,
that rod last under, if I'm careful? I mean, if I fall and I
y-
break it, things like that. But is that something that would
well,
last a lifetime?
oh yeah. It'll last forever. You
Okay.
take care of it, it'll last forever. There are warranties on rods.
Okay.
A little bit of a heated topic in the fly fishing world because they're lifetime warranties.
Ooh, who's
Um,
lifetime?
it's not exactly. It's kind of interesting. Like, what product do you buy out there that has a lifetime warranty
Well,
that's
what's the
made out of
warranty for
delicate material?
manufacturer's defects? Is that, are they
um,
saying?
Yeah, manufacturer's defect, but it's hard to prove that all the
Right.
time. So if a rod breaks, you slam it in a car door, um, window, whatever, on a rock, yeah, they will repair it or replace it for a fee.
Hmm.
Depending on some companies have switched to more of a tiered system where older rods, yeah, you're gonna have to pay more to get them fixed. So
Okay.
um, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's like you don't buy a car and get a lifetime warranty or anything like that.
No,
So
no.
kind of an interesting concept that the fishing world got itself into, and I think it's trying to figure out how to make it a little more balanced for both the manufacturer and the consumer.
Right. Well, you said earlier, you went fishing last night.
Mm-hmm.
What gear did you take out with you last night? Here's a guy who owns a fly fishing shop. You could demo
Yeah.
anything, right? Just ask the boss. I'm
Yep.
going to take this out. What did you take with you
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
night?
That's a good question. I didn't take anything super crazy high, what I would call high end. I've been checking out some rods from a company that is getting kind of revamped and back into the fly fishing game. And so I was taking out one of their rods. I wanted to get a little time with that. I would call it a mid-price rod. It was, I think, in the 595 range.
Okay. All right.
And then a reel that was it was about $400 reel. So it's kind of getting to that premium category. And then my friend, this is an old friend. I showed him how to fly fish back um, uh, when we were in high school and post high school. He was actually a friend of. We were all friends of my friend that passed away that I mentioned earlier. We've reconnected and he wanted to learn how to fly fish again. So I took him down to the Spokane, and I had I'd call kind of a nice entry level kit for him to use.
Okay.
And most importantly, the fly line on it was a good fly line. That's like putting good tires on a car. So you get a lot of performance out of a nice fly line, even on a moderate rod and reel.
What makes a good fly line?
The coatings and the taper. yeah, the coating in particular, the finish. Yeah, and then selecting the right taper, which ultimately is that's one of the biggest things.
What do you mean by taper?
So fly lines, there's a core, and then they're built with PVC or polyurethane on top of that,
Okay.
and there's a taper to it that helps the fly rod load, and that when it loads the rod, then that obviously delivers your almost weightless fly. So different rods will react. Well, each rod will react to different tapers of fly line differently. So there's kind of some all-around tapers that will cast a variety of flies on a variety of rods. And that's kind of the stuff like when you come into the shop that will guide you through selecting the right line, for that particular rod.
Okay.
If you're not buying a kit or something like that.
So I can see that the reason you have 50,000 SKUs is because this gets there's a lot of variables depending on where you're fishing, what the river's doing, or, what you're fishing. Okay. All right. So yesterday you went out.
Yeah.
How long were you guys out fishing yesterday?
We met up at the shop, gave him some casting pointers on the lawn, just as a good safe starting point. No trees, no bushes, things like that to catch your fly. So yeah, we did some casting there and kind of made sure that things were progressing, and then we ran over to the river. That's a great thing, having the Spokane just right in town. It's super close. So we fished until just about dark. Spokane fishes really well in the evening, and it was super nice. Overcast, kind of humid. He hooked some fish. He didn't land them, which on your first kind of short, 2.5, 3 hours of fishing, that's all we can ask for. We can do our part. The fish have to do their part too. Right. So
did you catch any?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I made a few casts in between when he was taking breaks, and caught a nice trout. Had a couple other looks. We were just fishing dry flies, so flies that float, and the Spokane River fish, the trout in there, they will eat flies off the surface, but you're more apt to catch fish on subsurface flies. But we just felt like fishing dry flies. It's more fun to watch them eat on the surface.
Okay. Now you mentioned
for the 2 minutes I fished, I was happy.
All right. 2 minutes. All right. You mentioned you guys were, casting out on the lawn for practice. I got to imagine that being that we're all human and we're all, inherently competitive, there's got to be like casting competitions where people are, I can cast this in through that tire at 100 yards away or whatever it might be. Are there things like that where people are out there like showing off? Oh yeah. There's there might be fly shops or clubs or stuff that have casting competitions. And then there is I think there's like a Team USA, like a worldwide kind of circuit that people can compete on. It's competition in fly fishing. It's not like bass fishing where you have like the whole bass master kind of stuff going on. So there's very, very minimal competition stuff. But yeah, humans are inherently competitive. So we are.
That is there.
How accurate of a caster are you?
Well, that's a good question.
We all know fishermen tell tales, so you can say anything you want. No one's going to fact check you.
I mean, it probably depends on the day. So okay. I get the job done. Let's put it. You get the job done. Right. So who's the world's best? Who's the better caster, you or your brother? Oh, I'm going to say myself. I have a lot more experience. You have a lot more experience. He's pretty damn good though. He has his own style to it. Everyone has their own style, but he's pretty good. For not. I was fishing more younger and really into it a lot more than he was. So right. But yeah, for him coming into it a little bit later in life, he's pretty damn good. All the shop guys are awesome casters. I was going to kind of imagine there's everyone that's working at a fly fishing shop probably is
sampling the product, if you will, and out there.
Yeah.
I mean, do people call in, I'm sorry, I can't come in, I got to go fishing today type sickness, or
I've had requests from the guys to, hey, I want to go fishing. Their vacations oftentimes revolve around fishing. So yeah,
but
that's pretty common.
Isn't that tough though okay, so they want to go fishing and they should,
Mm-hmm.
but they probably want to go fishing when it's good business time for the shop to be open and well staffed, right?
Yeah, it is. That is tough. Yeah, yeah. It's yeah. The spring, summer, fall, which is your best fishing around here.
Right.
Yeah, that is tough because you got to be in the shop or guiding but we try to make it so they get a couple days off a week, or they can squeeze a few extra days here and there during the good months. Yeah, so we're not slave drivers at the Silver Bow. There needs to be a work life balance for sure.
And you kind of alluded to that.
But
you alluded to that in the article that article was a long time ago though. So I was curious if you changed your ownership philosophy, if you will.
I have to go back and read that actually.
Yeah, what did you say here? I'll read it to you because it was kind of funny.
Yeah, CP got it. Yeah.
Well, he asks you what you like about the job, what you don't like. We'll probably come back to that. I like the fact that you said they asked, have you thought about expanding? And you go, the idea of having multiple locations crossed my mind, but I think that the model spreads the focus too thin. I'd rather have one regional location and work on other projects. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could easily, I've seen that, or businesses start expanding and then they kind of lose their focus and they're not doing a really good job at either location now, rather than just having a really good, solid location. So.
Oh, okay. So here's how you described. They asked you, how would you describe your management style? So I want to say that this article was published in 2012. So 13 years ago. So has your management style changed? You said, how would you describe your management style? Pretty relaxed. Everyone knows they need to pitch in and get the job done, but I don't crack the whip too hard.
Yeah. Where was this article from?
This is the Spokesman Review.
Oh, Spokesman. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. Getting old and senile, apparently.
Yeah,
that is actually exactly my current philosophy. I mean, I do expect everyone to do the job. I mean, that's what you're paid to do.
Right.
And I try to just be a good boss and leader, and I'm not a micromanager, so and people don't want to be micromanaged, so they know what to do, and from that there's a lot of freedom with taking time off, skating out of the shop early, X, Y, and Z, and little perks to the gig. So it's kind of a give and take. So hopefully, I mean, they've been at the shop. Everyone's been at the shop a long time, so hopefully that speaks volumes to kind of what our philosophy and work-life balance is like. So,
well, I mean, and you can literally, hang the "Gone Fishing" sign on the door, and it would be truthful. I mean, it could be.
That is, when we did that in May. We need to do it a little more often. We closed the shop down because we have a really small crew. We actually, probably could use one more guy. So, we closed shop down, went fishing up on the Coeur d'Alene River in North Idaho, and had a blast. So, but a lot of, we'll fish. We could, like in the summertime, having the Spokane River right in our backyard, we'll go fishing after work together. So that's something we can do without having to close the shop down completely.
Right. I really don't ever like to talk about COVID anymore because it's like I want to move on from it. But how did and you survived?
It's part of our life, though.
The shop survived COVID. How did you guys navigate that window of uncertainty?
That was interesting. Well, it was interesting. I stepped back into kind of the main role because I didn't know if we're going to ever be able to be open. So I went back to just, the guys were at home, and the shop was, we couldn't have people in the store, but I was just taking orders over the phone and um, having people meet at the front door kind of deal. So we did that for a month or two or whatever it was. And then, we just tried to follow whatever new rule came out, I guess, and um, navigate those waters. But also we had to keep our doors open.
Right.
This you got to feed the machine. The bills still need paid.
Exactly.
Electricity needs paid. I couldn't completely shut the business down. That was impossible. We're a small business, so I just ran things myself for a bit, and then you know once things started to kind of loosen up just a touch, I got the guys back in there, and we still had to do whatever policy was in place at the time. But it was interesting. I didn't know. Yeah, like holy crap, are we going to even be around in a few months?
Mhm.
Kind of deal. 'Cause I've been through the recession and whatever other business things have happened over the last couple decades. So add that one to the list
Yeah.
of stuff.
Well,
So
kudos to you for navigating it.
thanks.
A
Yeah.
lot of people didn't. Some people, some businesses actually really thrived. Um,
Yeah. Well, once things open back up, being in the outdoor industry was good, as long as you had inventory. Getting inventory was the challenge. We had a robust inventory, so we weren't too bad. But if you ran out of something, you might be SOL for getting something back in stock, just because the demand
supply
was
chain
so
was,
high. Yeah, supply chains were broken. Demand was high for outdoor industry stuff. Fishing, bikes, hiking, camping, overlanding, whatever it is. Um, so thank God we had a fair amount of inventory. Um,
yeah,
Helped having 50,000 items.
yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'm going to ask you to put on your 2 to 5 years in the future hat. What do you think?
Mm.
What do you want the business to look like? What do you think? Are there opportunities that you see in the fly fishing space for Silverbow to, I don't want to necessarily, well, let's say expand, but what
Mm.
what do you see on the horizon?
It's a good question. I don't know if I'm going to divulge everything, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm not asking you for trade secrets. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's a bit more competition around right now,
Mm-hmm.
so trying to navigate that competition with big dollars.
Right.
So we're just a mom and pop shop, so we're just trying to navigate that right now. Yeah, so I mean, nothing will change as it is right now. We're going to continue offering good service and try to have the right inventory in all the time.
Right.
And the knowledge about fishing. So that none of that stuff will change. But yeah, that is a good question is there new things to do in our area? I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, we've done it for so long. I've explored a lot of ideas. It's kind of hard to come up with something really creative that's completely different that nobody's ever done. So
Well, from an
we'll have to circle
equipment,
back in 2 years on
okay.
that
All right.
question.
From an equipment standpoint,
Mm.
are there a lot of advances? Is the equipment getting better? I mean, I guess maybe we're putting
Yeah,
in high tech materials.
it's yeah. There, it is. I feel like it's plateaued a little bit. Like I don't know. I look at new equipment every year, and I wouldn't say there's anything super drastic over the last decade, probably that's
Mm-hmm.
changed. But I mean, stuff has improved even in that last 10 years. But it's not like, holy smokes, this is the newest technology and it's mind blowing. I think making rods more durable. There could be that there's still room for some improvement there. I don't know how you can make a fly reel more, better than what they currently are.
Okay.
Fly line coatings are getting better though. So, but yeah, I'd say for the manufacturers, it is hard, very hard to innovate right now. You have to dig deep to find new ways to come up with um, better products. So um, yeah, waders boots. Um, there's some there's some room for improvement still in like wader materials.
Okay.
More durable the boots that you wear with your waders. There's some you're in the water, so the like the rubber soles on those. I'm sure there's still some technologies out there that could be even better than what they're currently using. So just for improved grip and safety and traction.
Okay.
So, but it's getting harder. I mean,
Yeah.
equipment's pretty damn good right now.
Okay, so you said there hasn't been any major technological breakthroughs in the last decade. What do you think was the last big breakthrough in fly fishing tech? Like, what was in your 20 years of owning the shop? Has there been something that came out that you're like, that really is a game changer?
Oh, let me dig back into the old cobweb brain here. Yeah, I mean, waders have gotten really good over the years. The fabrics overall. I mean, Gore-Tex, of course, has always been good, but I think everybody else has really caught up to the Gore-Tex world. And for wader material, that just as a whole, that's been a big change. Fly lines have gotten a lot better. And then actually, I kind of think about it like flies. There's so many more synthetic materials now with flies. Not just like 20 years ago, there was more natural materials, less synthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Synthetics meaning like a foam or some sort of like vinyl type of material that goes into it, or a flashy material. So actually, the fly materials, that's probably the biggest change that I've seen. It didn't all come out at once. It's been a progression over the years, but yeah, flies have changed drastically. There's so many freaking flies. I can't even keep up with it anymore.
You can't. So I want to say, I'm going to go back. You mentioned earlier you went fly fishing yesterday, and I asked you what specific gear you took out. I'm going to treat you like you're a musician now. And if you're a guitar player, the question is, how many guitars do you have? Some guys go, oh, I've got 2. And other guys go, they look at the camera and they go, please don't ask that. My wife's going to hear this and I'm in trouble.
Well, my wife fly fishes, and that's how we met. So.
All right, cool. All right.
Yeah.
How many rods and reels do you think you have at home?
Oddly enough, I'm not crazy about. Okay. I do love gear. I'm a big gear guy, but like I sell off my old gear, so I might have. I'm just gonna say 20 kind of setups right now, which is not a crazy amount. Bo at the shop has double that plus.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm in the business of new. So my philosophy is, and I don't have a sentimental attachment to most of my gear. So I sell it off. Once it's discontinued, I get rid of it. So yeah.
So you're going, the Spokane's kind of your backyard. That's your, we're just going to go, I'm going to say, let's go down to the corner bar and have a beer. That's like, we're going to go down the corner river and, fish for a few hours.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's our home water.
But let's go outside of Spokane. Give me another river in Washington State that you like to fish.
The Grand Ronde is phenomenal.
All right. So how many setups would you take to go down there?
Well, there's kind of 2 seasons on the Grand Ronde. There's bass fishing for smallmouth during the summer, and then that's completely different. But the main appeal to the Grand Ronde is steelheading. In the fall. So you start getting steelhead start showing up late September. October is a prime month. November, and then depending on winter conditions, it'll fish all the way through the winter. But I wouldn't take less than 4 probably.
Okay. All right.
Because there's a couple different tactics that you can use for catching steelhead, and one of them is a 2-handed fly rod called a spay rod, and that's definitely going to bring a couple of those. And there's other tactics um, with regular fly rods. I'm going to bring a couple of those as well. So yeah, I'd say 4.
All
would be
right.
my minimum.
Now you mentioned Bo had twice as many, setups as you. If Bo was going with you, how many would he bring?
He'd probably at least have 6. But we've all kind of learned if we're fishing together, we all have good equipment,
right?
And we bring too much crap. So
yeah, right. I mean, we all.
So we have to pare it back if we're all fishing together. We're not bringing that all into the raft.
Okay. Oh yeah, so you're out on a raft. So yeah, you've got limited space, you got to kind of leave stuff behind. All right.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not out working, you're a business owner, that's a full-time job. I was going to make a joke that it's a part-time job, but no, let's be honest, it's a full-time job. Actually, in that article you mentioned
mentally it's a full-time job. Physically, it's not.
So in that article in the Spokane Review, back then, this, you're working 50 or 60 hours a week, sometimes up to 100.
Yeah.
Have you been able to get a little different balance to?
Oh yeah. No, it's changed drastically, and thanks to the crew at the shop, and we've just done it for so long. We know there's not too many surprises these days at the shop. So we've got it's a pretty well-oiled machine. Between Bo, Kenyon, Mike, and I, we all have our roles, and nobody really works past 40 hours. So
awesome. So with this
we've minimized work.
All right. With this new quote unquote lifestyle balance, when you're not fishing and you're not at the shop, what do you like to do?
Well, I love camping. I love mountain biking. That's always been a long time passion of mine. And so I've gotten back into that more the last few years. Paddle boarding, photography. It's kind of traveling around, enjoying home. Actually, could be. I don't know if that's a hobby, but I've bounced around to so many rivers and spent so much time on the road traveling to fishing spots. Sometimes it's nice to relax at home. So, what else? It's kind of, those are kind of the main deals: mountain biking, photography, camping. We love sightseeing for watching animals. We're out in Yellowstone Park or something like that.
Okay.
It's not always about fishing.
We'll
fish a lot, but it's not always about fishing. It's about having a good balance of all that stuff.
Awesome. Well, questions I always ask my guest. You're like, okay, so this is about Spokane now, right? I need answers about Spokane. I'm a huge coffee guy. Where's a great place for me to get coffee in Spokane?
Well, we have a lot of coffee. It's kind of like Seattle. There's tons of coffee. So, but First Avenue Coffee is a great one. That's a solid one.
Where do you go? Where's your?
I'm sure everyone.
So you're out. Your shop is out in Spokane. You're out in.
We're technically the Valley.
Yeah, the Valley. So is there coffee? Is there good coffee in the Valley?
Oh gosh, yeah. There's.
I never go out to the Valley. So.
You can go. They're kind of your drive-through style, but Wake Up Call coffees are great. There's so many coffee places. That's what I would do. I'm a busy guy, so I don't usually have a lot of time to sit down at a coffee place.
Right.
I would usually grab some from a place like that on my way to work.
What's your go-to coffee drink?
I'm just a straight up black coffee, Americano, something like that. As it should be.
I'm not as it should be.
I don't add a bunch of stuff to it. But I like a good, rich, dark coffee. Yeah.
All right. I'm with you on that. All right.
Yep.
I asked you this question when we talked on the phone. I told you this one was coming, but before I ask you the question, I asked you a follow-up question and I told you that my wife and I were going to Spokane, which we were there this last weekend before we recorded this.
Okay.
And we went to where you suggested for dinner.
Okay, good.
And I got to tell you, I had 3 tacos and I tried 3 different tacos. I tried a pork cheek, an asada, and a charred octopus.
Oh, nice.
And pork cheek taco might be the single best taco I have ever had.
That's awesome.
I was so disappointed. What I mean, I'm not disappointed. That's not the right word. I had that one first, and I went, I wish I wouldn't have ordered these other two because this was so good. I could have just had. It was amazing, man. So thank you.
Yeah.
That place
you're
was
welcome.
packed.
Good.
It was, that was. I'm not even going to say the name of the place because I don't want more people to go because I don't want to wait in line next time I go there.
Oh, we can give them a plug. They're phenomenal. That place is legit.
Plug away. So. Where should I go for lunch? There you go. I teed you up.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, if you like tacos, go to Cochinito's. It's downtown. It's phenomenal. Yeah,
I guess they have another location out in Hayden.
Yeah, okay. Hayden. Yeah, I haven't been out there yet, but
and that's in Idaho, which is we don't talk about on the show. Okay. But no, they were. I got to tell you, and then I had a cocktail. I had their bourbon renewal.
Okay, good.
Which is not not a Latino style drink, but it was. My wife hated it, which means it was a great cocktail. She had something else, but I'd go back there tonight for dinner. It was so good.
It's so good. Yeah, I love that place. They do a great job. So Cochinito's.
Yeah,
try it if you haven't.
Thank you very much for that. That was a huge win. Where else in Spokane's for lunch though? Where's another good place for lunch?
If you're grabbing a sandwich, if you're out in the valley, Seamus's is great for a sandwich. And High Nooner, which they have a few locations around town, and one in the valley as well. That's another good sandwich shop. And if you're a late night, like you just got off the river and you need some late night grub, Adelano's burritos I love them. So good. I had one last night.
Okay. So what type of burrito are you grabbing?
I grabbed one called the Washington. So it's guacamole, sour cream, French fries, chicken, cheese, way too big and not exactly healthy, but you know what?
Who cares? You were out exercising in the river. Come on, you were
we were walking and hiking, and it was,
you deserve.
We earned it.
Yeah, there you go. No, we had a really nice time in Spokane.
Good.
Other than
the weather was
okay. Yeah, there was a little few drops of rain, but that's okay. Yeah, downtown's a mess with traffic, and if you don't know where you're going, it was a little annoying.
Yeah.
Cochinito's
busier than it used to be.
Yeah, Cochinito's street's closed in front of it, so we're like trying to get there and we can't, and but it was totally worth it. God, that was so good.
You were dreaming about it.
Yeah, it was awesome. All right, this other question I told you about, you promised to play along and say yes, right? Okay, so so it's a simple question, but I need to know the answer and I need to know why. Okay.
Okay.
Cake or pie?
Oh man, I feel like my answer's changed over the years. So, God, I'm so torn on that. I'm gonna go pie.
Okay.
It's the good classic apple pie. So good. Or
and
rhubarb.
Why?
Just more texture and variety to it than cake is a little more straightforward. So
okay. The follow-up to that question, I keep asking it and I keep getting the wrong answers from people. I'm trying to formulate it. Right. But okay. So here's the question. Growing up as a kid, what did you guys have more, cake or pie as a kid?
I don't feel like I liked cake as much growing up.
Okay.
But I mean, we had both. Okay. I don't see one more. I don't recall one more than another. I have to ask my mom actually.
Yeah, see, I keep this premise that the answer that you give as an adult is almost. I keep thinking it but that it's been influenced by what your family did as growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were like a big cake family, you just had a lot of cake, so you like cake.
Yeah. But, we had both. I mean, birthdays it was cakes, and holidays it was pies. So
okay, all right. See, and I'm going to stop asking the follow up because nobody's confirming this for me, and I feel like I'm just dying on this hill, and nobody's backing me up. But that's okay. It's okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we got good coffee in Spokane. We got
Oh,
amazing
tons,
Mexican
yeah.
food in Spokane, and we got good.
Yep.
You're telling me we got good sandwiches. What
Oh, yeah.
else should people know about Spokane that you don't think enough people know?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of outdoor stuff, right? Within the city. Like, there's tons of hiking and biking trails. Between Riverside State Park and um, up Saltese and the Minnehaha area and some others around town. And then you got like the bike paths along the walking path. It's a trail right on the Spokane. And then you're close to, I mean, gosh, you got skiing. You got 5 mountains within an hour and a half of Spokane for skiing and snowboarding. You got a bunch of rivers and lakes. Spokane has 75 lakes within an hour of it.
Really?
That you can fish or recreate. Yeah, within an hour of Spokane. Yeah, so tons of lakes. Spokane right through town for recreating on. I mean, this is a Washington podcast, but we're right next to the North Idaho Panhandle.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff to do there too. So there's just a lot of things to do. Yeah, it's a great place. I love it. And it's a big city, but it's still has a small enough vibe.
Okay.
That it's not too crazy.
What didn't we talk about that people need to know about Silverbow?
Oh, we're just kind of one of the, I'm not gonna say the last, but we're one of the, we're some ma and pa style shop. If you like kind of old school businesses like that, hopefully good customer service. If you don't have good customer service, let me know. But yeah, come see us. We're just a friendly bunch of fishing dudes that want to see you succeed and have a good fly fishing journey in your life. And yeah, we'll take good care of you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sitting down with me and enduring the technical challenges. My camera's still frozen. I'm sorry you had to look at that.
Looking at the same page.
The particular pose the entire time. You're a trooper. Anyway, thanks so much. And
thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Good. I hope the next time you go out fishing, you get to spend more time actually fishing and less time helping your buddy. And you get to go out.
I've been fortunate. I've fished a lot. It's not about catching fish for me these days. It's just hanging out outside with some good folks. So
there you go. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Hope you enjoyed the show. You can reach me on Twitter at ExploreWaState. I'd love to hear your comments. You can also visit our website at explorewashingtonstate.com. If you know anyone who would like the show, it'd be amazing if you'd share the show with them. This is the biggest way that we grow this show. Good old word of mouth. Glad you were here with me today, and I hope to have you listening to the next episode. See you then.